Hi guys, this is Tech Howdy. I welcome you to another video tutorial on creating an ASP.NET Core application with Angular 7. In the last video tutorial, we created our interface for the product, which contains all the product related properties. Now we will continue coding this product service class. If you have not watched the part 1 of this video tutorial for creating a product service, I recommend you to go ahead and watch that. If you directly want to start from this point here, you can go ahead and download the code from the DevOps repos. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we need to instantiate an HTTP object. The reason, because we want to make HTTP calls to our web API controller. The product controller contains all the web API methods like adding a product, deleting a product, editing a product. Therefore, to call this API method, we need to make an HTTP request. And to make an HTTP request, we need to instantiate an HTTP object inside the constructor of this class. Now, the HTTP client that we are going to use is going to be imported from Angular Common HTTP. There is another HTTP client that is available under Angular HTTP. Please make sure that you import the HTTP client that is available under Angular Common HTTP and not under Angular HTTP. And the reason to do this is because by using this HTTP client, we can attach our JWT token to the header of the request. And I will show you as we proceed in this video tutorials. But for now, just understand that this HTTP client has the properties or the required methods that can be used to add the token or attach the token to the headers of our HTTP request. So now, the next thing after we have created the constructor, the property instantiated, the HTTP object in the constructor, we need to go ahead and create some properties or some variables basically that are going to hold all the required URLs for calling our web API methods. So let's go ahead and add those properties. So to make a request to a web API controller to add a product, we are going to use the product URL, which is add product. To get all the products, to get the list of all the products, we will use the API controller product and the get products method. To delete the product, we'll call the delete product method from our API controller. And to update the product, we will call the API product update product method from the API controller. If you are confused of how we are going to call these methods, you can go back to your controllers folder and inside the products controller, if you look at the get products method, the method name needs to be accessed first by calling the API / the controller's name, which is which is product, and then / the action method name. Therefore, in our product service class, to call the action method, we are calling it by our base URL plus the API / the product, that's the controller name, and then the action method name. So that applies to all the action methods inside that product controller. Now we need to create one more property that will hold all the list of the products. So when we make a call to our API that is going to return all the products from the database, it's not going to return all the products one by one. It's going to return a collection, a single object that will contain all the products within that object, within that collection. Now it is upon us how we break that collection and get all the products out of it and then display it to a client. Therefore, it is going to return a collection, so we will create an observable type of property or variable that will hold all those product values. So let's go ahead and do that. So here I have added another variable or property which is called as product, and I have added a $sign. If you remember, in one of the previous video tutorials, I recommended that this is a popular naming convention, that we add a dollar symbol or a $sign to the end of the variable name. That is just to denote that this is an observable type of variable or a property. So as you see, the type of the property is observable and the value that it's going to return is going to be a product array. So now the next thing that we want to do is start coding the required methods. So we will require 4 methods. One is to get the product itself. That's the single product, get product by its ID, get a list of products, which is going to be get products. Then we will have another method to insert, delete, and update. So let's go ahead and first create the get products method. So a get products method returns an array of products, which is going to be an observable type. So it's going to return an observable product array. So here we will write the logic for that. The second method that we require is to get product by its ID. So we need to get a single product. So let's say we have a list of products and the client clicks on one of the products, then we need to get the details of that specific product. So we want to get details of that product by its ID. So let's call this method as get product by ID. You can name these methods whatever you like, but I'm going to name it like this because it makes more sense. Now this is going to return an observable type of product. So it's going to return a single product, not an array. So the return type will be product. Now, don't worry about the errors. That's because we have not yet returned anything. So it's going to give you an error. Now, the next thing that we want to do is update the product. So let's create a method called as update. Oh, actually, we need to first create insert the product before we update. So we'll go in a sequence, insert the product. So insert the product will be called as insert product. So our insert product will require us to pass an entire product. So all the properties that we will receive from the client, like the product name, the product description, the product price, and so on, we need to bind it inside a product object, which is this interface here. So all these properties need to be binded to this product interface. So therefore, what we are going to do is we will, inside the parameters of our insert product, we'll create a object called as new product, which will be of type product. So what's going to happen? All the properties will be binded to this product type of object. So next thing that we want to do is specify the return type. So after we have added the product, we want to return a response. If it contains the newly added product, it will send it back to the client as a response. As if it does not contain it, then it will send an error. So what we are going to return here is once again an observable type of product after we have added it to the database. Next method that we want to add is the update product method. So in order to update the product, we need to provide the ID of the product that we are going to update. And to provide the ID, we need to pass it to the parameter of this method. So an ID will be of type number. And since we are going to edit the product, we also need to provide the details that needs to be edited. Let's say if we want to edit the name of the product, so we need to provide the new name of the product. So therefore, the edit product object will hold all those property values that need to be edited. So it's going to be of type product as well. Now we have done with the update method. Now finally, we want to delete the product. In case we don't like the product, it's out of stock, we want to delete the product. So delete product method also is required here. So a delete product method will be called as delete product. And once again, one more thing that we need to add here, actually, after we have updated the product, we also need to return the product itself. So the new details of the new product that we edited. So after we have edited, we want to see what is the value that is returned from the database. So the spelling mistake here, so product and here. So now the next thing in the delete product, we need to specify the ID once again of the product that we need to delete. So it's going to be of type number, and here we don't need to provide any details. Since we are going to delete the product, we don't care of what details we need to update or we need to add. We just need to delete the product whose ID is specified in the parameter of this method. So that's it. After the product has been deleted, once again we need to return the response. Now response again is going to be an observable type, but if the product is deleted, then obviously it's not going to return a product. Therefore we cannot add product here as the return type. So we will use the any keyword as the return type. So whatever is the type, whether it's an error or a success, you return that. So therefore we have used any here instead of product. Once again, if the product is deleted, it cannot return the product type. So it makes more sense. So now we have all the methods. Now let's go ahead and start writing the logic for our get products method. One more thing that we would need to add here is clear cache, and I'll tell you how this method works. So let's just call it clear cache. And what is the need of this method? I'll tell you once we have coded this get products method. So now when we are coding this get products method, as we know that this method is going to make a call to the API base URL, which is going to get all the products. So let's first go ahead and get the products and assign the return values to this product variable. So product is equal to, so how do we make an HTTP get request? Using the HTTP object that we instantiated, we will call the get method. Inside the get method, here we need to specify first what are we going to get, what is the return type we expecting. So we are expecting a product array that is going to be returned. Next thing, where do you want to make the call, on which URL or which API? That is the base URL object property that contains the value for that. Now after we have made the call, obviously we are going to get a response. So we will pipe. Using pipe, we can use multiple methods in a sequence, as we all know. Inside the pipe here, what we want to do with the result, we want to share replay the result. This is something new that you will see now. This is called a share replay. We haven't used it in the past video tutorials. What is this share replay? So what is going to happen is we will get the result which contains all the products. We are then going to store it in the cache. That's the web storage of our browser. So next time again the client makes a request to get a list of products, we will not hit this API. We will instead replay the same list that we received earlier from the cache of our browser. By doing this, we will reduce the stress on the resources of our web server. Means there will be less calls made to the web server because we are loading the list of products from the cache. Therefore, what we want to do here is we will add an if condition. So sometimes the user might go ahead and clear his cache, browser cache. Therefore, this condition will make sure that the user does not get an error. So what we will do here is first we will check if the products, which is this products, does not exist, then go ahead and make a call to the API and then assign the values to the product. If it already exists, if the cache already exists, then go ahead and return that cache. So makes it more easy to understand now. So if the cache exists, then return it. If it does not exist, then make the call to the API, get the values, store it in the cache, and then return it. So makes more sense. So this is it for our observable product type. And here this clear cache method, what this will do is it's going to all it's going to do is clear the cache, which means it's going to set the value of this product object to null, means there is no products in the cache. And we are going to use this later, and I'll show you how. So now the next get product by ID method is the one that we are going to work. So let's quickly code this. So all we want to do is return a single product by its ID. So let's go to return. Now if you look at the URLs here, we are returning a list of products, we are adding a product, we are deleting a product, and we are updating a product. But there is no method defined here or in our product controller to get a product by its ID. And the reason for not doing that, when I created this controller, I mentioned that I'll explain to you when we work on the product service. And the reason to do that is because why do you want to add to get a product by its ID, whereas you already have the list of products in your cache? All you have to do is find the product that you want by its ID from that cache list. So all you have to do is call this method, which will return the products from the cache. So call the get products method. And now this method is what it does, it returns a list of products. If it's in the cache, it will return it from cache. So all we want to do is then use the pipe method on this result, and then here we will use something called as flat map. You can also use map, but I'm going to use flat map. All it's going to do is going to return an observable type. So what it's going to do is it's going to take the result that it's going to receive from this method and pass it on to the next method in the sequence. So the next method in the sequence is going to be our first method. So if any time you have used entity framework or lambda expression, then you will understand that when we are getting some values from database by its ID, we will use the first or default method. So to get the value of the product, first or default, whichever is the first or default that matches my requirements, you return that value. Similarly, in Angular, we have something called as the first method that will check inside this result that is passed. So how do we check is we will pass this result to a object called as product. You can name this object anything you like. You can name this result anything you like. It's your naming convention you can use. So using lambda expression on this product, what I'm going to do is find the product whose product ID is equal to the ID I need to go and get. So the ID will be specified in the parameter. So here all I want to do is the product whose ID matches the ID that I require, go and get me that product. That's it, simple as that. So that's it for our get product by ID method. Next is to insert the product inside the database. So we need to insert a new product. So to insert the new product, what we want to do is, since we need to return an observable product, so we're going to use the return keyword, and then using our HTTP object, we are going to call the post method, because adding a new product to the database is an HTTP post method. Add product is a post method, so let's use the HTTP post method. Expecting return type is the product, and the URL that needs to be targeted is the product URL, so which contains the API. And what is the next object that we need to pass is the details of the new product that we want to add. So that's it for this method. Now the next method, that is the update product by its ID. Once again, we will use the return keyword because we want to return an observable product, and then using the HTTP dot This time we want to edit the product, and to edit we will use the put method. Once again, the product controller, it's HTTP put for our update product. Using the HTTP put, what are we expecting? Once again, the return type is the product, and the URL that we are targeting this time is the update URL, and the details of the new product that we need to update needs to be passed here. So new so the edit product, because it's not new product, it's edit product. Don't make the mistake. So edit product contains the details that need to be updated. Now, do you think that the edit product method will work? Because it's going to update, but we have not specified the ID. So how do we specify the ID? Because if you go back to the product controller, in order to call this method, after the method's name, that is the action method name, / we need to provide the ID of the product that we need to update. So we are just calling the URL here, update product, but we have not concatenated the ID, correct? Because this is going to remain constant, but the ID will keep changing. So therefore, what we'll do here, we will concatenate the ID. The ID from the parameter, we'll concatenate it here. Because the / is already added here, all we need to do is concatenate the ID, which will be done in this method. That's it. And now let's work on the delete method. So guys, to delete, once again, we will call the HTTP object, and any guesses? Yes, the delete method. So here we are not expecting any return type. So what we want to delete is the target delete URL here. So delete URL, and then what delete URL also requires us to pass the ID. So therefore, let's pass the ID. That's it. Delete method is also complete. So that's it for our product service class. There is nothing else that we have to add. Now the clear cache method, you're wondering why I created this method and where am I going to use it. So I want you to go and open your navigation component here. And inside the navigation component.ts, here, add this product service to the constructor. Add this product service object, which is product service. Add the import statement, and here then call this clear cache method on your logout button. So when the logout button is clicked, the on logout method is fired. So previously we were just logging out the user, but this time before logging out the user, we will first clear the browser cache. That is this method which will clear the list of products from the cache and then log out the user. So next time when the user logs in, the call will be made to the database and the list will be generated again and sent to the user. So he does not have the old list. Okay, so that's why we added this method here. So that should be it for this video tutorial. We are done with our product service class. In the next video tutorial, we will start working on the product components. I will show you guys how you can use data tables, jQuery's data table API to display the products, how you can perform CRUD functionalities on your products components using this product service class. Please like and subscribe my channel Tech Howdy. If you have any questions, use the comment section. And if you get any errors in your code, make sure that you update your npm packages. That's it. Thank you once again. Please like and subscribe my channel Tech Howdy.